Hello, 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 my friends. Let's see if who's coming in today. Hey, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Happy New Year, everyone. Cool. I was trying to do it from my laptop. Dell seems to put out the worst laptops in history, so I don't know what's going on with that. So I had to switch everything. So now I'm in my pseudo podcast area here. So what are you all doing on YouTube on a New Year's Eve? What's going on with that? Let me pop this chat out here and see if I can get there we go. So Donka says she can't fall asleep. Lioness of Gaia says loud and clear. Very good. Good, good. Big B Lucifer's out there. Hello. Happy New Year to everybody. Well, like I said, I'm here with the fam. I'm surrounded by everybody. Everybody around me is immersed in their own particular electronics video screens. So what's new and exciting in your world? So V McLeod says they're watching my videos. Lioness of Gaia says listening to astrology fires cast while I enchant jewelry. Ooh, sounds mystical there. Can you see I'm having my classical bad hair? I'm in grunge mode. I'm like channeling my inner Kurt Cobain right now. So while I got you, since we got nothing else going on, at least until the family decides they want to do something else, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to talk about? Anything? I love the grunge model. Some days you wake up, you just don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Aquarian Hyrel is talking about Kabbalah. You want to talk about Kabbalah? Okay. Ask me no question. Ask me your questions, and I'll.
AMA today.
I'm just talking to my folks. You want to come and say hi to everybody? Oh, come on. You know. Have I ever explored the release technique? I don't know what that is, Susan, so I have to say no. Linus of Guy says, how to handle Mercury retrograde going into a new year. Actually, if you go to this is my daughter, Sophie. She's got my little magic hat on. She's got my wizard's hat on. Okay.
You let her wear it. Gee.
She's got my wizard's hat on.
I want to see.
All right. So the best way to handle retrograde, is figure out what the lessons are that this particular retrograde wants you to learn. But also, if you go to my my last webinar that I did, the background, the green background, has the Hebrew letters for the month, for the astrological sign of Capricorn, which I believe if your retrograde's falling during that time, if you use those letters, it will balance out the energy, and it will help you get through retrograde. Okay, it won't make it. It won't. You know, you may have some rough spots, but the meditations on those particular geometries during that particular astrological configuration tends to balance out the energy and at least put you closer to an even keel. Keep in mind that other people will not have the same benefit that you will, so you have to be a little bit more patient and a little bit more compassionate. Okay. Lioness of Guy, in specifics, going into the new year mindset, conflicting energies. Well, that's what the month of Capricorn is really about, polarities and things coming into conflict. So again, if you meditate on harmony and you bring those letters out through you and out into the world, and you share that energy with the world, it will balance you. Okay. So V McLeod is, why do I struggle to do exercise with myself and it works so well with clients? How do I work with someone who self-harms? Okay, most people who are self-harming are looking at are doing it for because it's one of the few things they can control. So you have to figure out what they're afraid of and what it is they feel out of control of. Usually, generally speaking, um, and a lot of times the mindset with some of these people is I can hurt, I can take anything you can dish out because I can hurt myself way more than you could ever hurt me. I've actually had that come out of clients. So let's see here. Duncan McLeod says, "Which was a great seminar?" You mean Duncan? Are you talking about the last webinar that we did? Donk is asking, healing, being overwhelmed by the energies of people thinking negatively about me from a distance, also from the environment. Okay, first of all, you need to work on your street armor, and if you go back through the masterminds, Donka, where we're doing the pulling down the heavens process, that'll go a long way towards galvanizing you internally and externally. But you need to work on external armoring so that people's stuff doesn't get into you. One of the problems that you guys got to understand, when you start doing a lot of this spiritual and healing work, you start working with energies. One of the byproducts of that is you're going to get more and more sensitive. That's why a lot of times so many people who really pursue spiritual paths, they wind up in a cave or in a monastery somewhere because the bombardment of energies from people who aren't at the same level is actually quite uncomfortable. So you have to develop, while you're developing your inner world, you have to develop your armor so that when you go out into the world, you can armor up and you're not as affected just strongly by these things. Okay. Rick has a question. Is there a way to deal with late age ADHD using one of the techniques you teach? I would start with the magic frame and then start working with the actual submodalities of focus and attention. Those are really a lot of the classic ways of training attention are actually really good for you if you can discipline yourself to do it. And that's like, just gazing at a candle flame, focusing on your breathing. These things are very old, but they're proven to help you develop focus and concentration. Giving yourself very powerful suggestions can also do that. Okay, if you have our information process and you apply that in a direct drive, self-hypnosis, autogenic type training, you get a really, really powerful engagement from the overall nervous system. Alex P. Happy New Year. Struggling with food and losing weight, relapsing with Uber Eats, need to get rid of 30 pounds. What should I focus on? Focus on why you're eating. Are you eating because you're bored? Are you eating because you're sad? Are you eating because you just want to change your state? Are you eating because you feel like there's never going to be enough, right? Are you eating to fill a void? Remember that overeating is never the problem. Overeating is a symptom of something you're not getting. Security, love, attention, nurturing, all these things. So for you, Alex, the best thing I would recommend is start with the transformational triad, like, magic frame, color breathing, spinning. But you also could significantly benefit from somebody to do some regression work with you and get to the root of these problems and get them pulled out from the roots. So that would be my recommendation. Rishav Silwal's how to deal with fear. Okay. Isolate what it is you're afraid of, point to where you feel it, take it out, spin it, and then magic frame it and see what happens then. Okay. Another thing that I found works really, really well is acknowledging that you're afraid and then saying, so what? I used to teach this a lot when I was teaching guys about attraction. I would say, like, a lot of times when a guy sees a really, really beautiful woman, they go into a profoundly unresourceful state. They start tripping over their tongue and everything else is not nailed down. And they try to deny their feelings. And I found it to be really useful when at those times before I really started developing my state control trainings. I would say, okay, she's hot. So what? You can take this same idea and say, okay, I'm afraid. So what? I'm still going to do it. Right? It's okay to be afraid. Right? Courage is is the energy that you experience when you do what you're afraid to do, in spite of the fear. Right? Courage is not the absence of fear. So I think, if anything, if we can train ourselves to be far more courageous, then we have a leg up on the world. Okay. because fear is going to be your companion. It's going to teach you things. It's going to try to protect you or try to limit you. But we have to look at those things as just illusions, right? I'm afraid. So what? I still want it. I still am going to go for it, right? And then you see my little magic head in the background here. Let's see here. Okay, Patrick is. Okay, hold on a second. Lioness of Geist is one of the few webinars I missed. I'm excited to watch it. It's literally like the first or second live before this one. So it was a good one. I went pretty deep on some of this stuff. Patrick Hollywood says, "What is street armor?" Well, if you think of creating an energetic field around you, but also taking your energy field that you've expanded and purified and condensing it and solidifying it very close to or within the body, this tends to make a very solid, dense, energetic shield that becomes very hard for people to pass through. Remember, your energy field focus, your proprioceptive grid, as we call it, it acts like a membrane. It's semi-permeable. Things come in, things go out. We can sense things with that membrane. Okay, and when we really start to develop these abilities, we can actually send it to other places to extract information. So we have to remember that when we're doing our alchemical work, when we're clearing our shit and we're tapping into our clairvoyant abilities and our ESP and all those other psychic and spiritual faculties, you're usually doing it in a place where we're safe, where we've purified the area. It's a sanctuary for us. But when we move out into the world amongst humans at a lower vibration, which is most people, now, if we keep that level of sensitivity, then we're going to suck in a lot of that. Also, because we're emanating a much brighter field than the average human being has, we're going to attract more moths to the flame, metaphorically speaking. So the more you condense and internalize that energy while you're out amongst humans, the better off you're going to be. Okay. Let's see. Oop, I guess I'm. My little one is putting my hat back on, so now I have my wizard's hat back on. Okay. So Grace says, "Oh, hi y'all. We'd be listening in the background most of the time." Does that explanation of street armor help? David Orman, Central Florida Sistema. You frequently mention that you age differently. Would you explain how? How? Thank you. Well, I cheat a lot, but one of the things that, hold on a second, somebody bumped you here a little bit. Going monk mode for 6 months, cutting contact from the world and re-emerging a new version of me. Have you done this before? I'm doing this most of the time anyway. When I'm not out in the world, I'm pretty much cloistered in a room, either binge watching Netflix or Jerry Allen Johnson videos or Kabbalah videos or martial arts videos or something. I'm always training. So I'm always cloistered away, or I'm out amongst my people. So getting back to David's question, one of the things that happens, and you'll read this in a lot of the old books. It's mentioned in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It's mentioned in Franz Barden's work. Lillian Bridges talked about it a lot in her Golden Path workshop. There's a phenomena that seems to happen that when people embark on this magical, spiritual, alchemical journey, where they're doing a lot of meditations and advanced spiritual and alchemical practices, the universe and they're fulfilling their Ming. The universe conspires to make you live longer. It conspires to make you healthier, more energetic. And as a byproduct of that, you tend to age much slower. Now, there is a corollary to that in that studies done with high-level meditators, people who are meditating consistently every day for 10 years or more, tend to be about 10 years physiologically younger than people who are in the same age category but do not meditate. So if you take what the science is saying about just the results of meditation in and of itself, combine that with the generation of what we call Ling Qi or Shen in the body, which becomes Jing, then the body can not only spiritually approach the spiritual blueprint, but you have the material sources that allow it to maintain itself and to optimize itself. So I hope that helps. Emiria Israel says, I love all your work. Thank you. God bless. God bless you, Emiria. Ermaya, did I say that right? Ishua Wilson, I seem to forget to use the echo technique or any technique at all during the conversations. Any tip for me? Yes, write it on your hand. Every time you go out, like when to a waitress or a bartender or a server, just as you're ordering, just look at your hand, and just echo their words back to them. Start with little pieces first. And then as you become more confident and you've reinforced that habit, go to bigger pieces, right? Gracie Me says, what a cute little girl. Lioness of Gaia says, hi, Sophie. Madman says, the stream is very laggy. Story of my life. Let's see here. Ilka DeBoer says, I have a beautiful woman in my life that would love to get more closer to, but there seems to be a block within her. Any tips? Be patient, for one, and figure out if that block has anything to do with relationships or if it has something else to do with it, right? Remember, one of the things you want to be very careful of is you don't want to become a partner's therapist if you can help it. Right now, when you get married and you really want to help that person, that's one thing. But at the very beginning stages of a relationship, you want to be together because you enjoy each other's company and because you find it fulfilling, not because this other person can fix your shit. Okay, so just be very, very careful when you start helping people with their stuff too early in a relationship. Okay, otherwise you start creating the wrong precedent in that relationship. It seems to do that when we go deep. That is true. I've noticed I recently had some stem cell injections in my back, and it really jacked my energy. Like my energy just plummeted. Because anytime you violate the integrity of the spine, a lot of energy leaks out. And I can tell that my energy's starting to come back really, really strong because every piece of electronics I've worked with today has fritzed on me multiple times, like stupidly. It hit its apex 2 or 3 weeks ago where I was teaching an 8-day NLP certification, and I taught my energy class the evening after the first night. And for the next 7 days, every single microphone I tried on would not work for me. It would work for everybody else, but the minute I put it on, it would stop working. And we have that on video. We have actual video evidence of me destroying medical or electronics. Maya Israel says, you said it right. Thanks, brother. I'm going to re-listen to Yoga Sutras when we finish. Cool. Rishav is asking, how do feelings work? Can you elaborate on that question? Alex is asking, does wearing all black create a protective shield? Seems very powerful. Any other tips on appearing more powerful? Staying silent? Yes. Silence is very powerful. And the reason for that is there's 2 reasons, really. One is every time you speak, you give out energy. The second is every time you speak to somebody, you're giving somebody your attention. And where attention goes, energy flows. So if you're around people who are constantly sucking your energy, you can almost always tell these people by the amount of your attention they're drawing. Black will work as a way to buffer the shield. Also wearing leather and satin or silk. Was it silk, Dawn, that buffers energy? I think it's silk and leather will actually create a really powerful set of external armor for you, right? So if you're vegan, you might have some issues wearing leather. But anyway, Aquarian Hyrel says, what is your source for 72 names in the Shem HaMephorish operations? I saw your Memhe Sheen meditation. I first learned the Shem HaMephorish at the Kabbalah Center in Boca Raton, Florida, and I started with their practices, and then I built on that based on what I learned from other energy systems. Dr. Snyder, do I have an RH blood type? Don't we all? Hold on a second. Let me ask the boss. What's my RH blood type, boss?
I don't know that actually.
Oh, you don't know what that is? All right. My wife is sitting next to me, and my wife is here, or my daughter's here. So if you have a medical question I can't answer, I'm just going to ask her. She's saying, no, don't. How can you overcome illusion thoughts? I don't know. How do you define an illusion thought? I don't know what that means. All thoughts are illusions, aren't they? In a manner of speaking. It's easier to say all illusions are thoughts more than all thoughts are illusions. Armaya Israel says a question. Pranayama and meditation can get us more energy, for sure. How does auto-suggestion factor into our power of influence? I feel weird reading I'm strong. Actually, you're not that far off. You're not that far off. Certain mantras are powerful just because of the vibration that they create. Other mantras are powerful because of the meaning of the mantra. Ultimately, the magic comes from you. The vibration is what it is. All things are connected either more directly or less directly. The more pure the tone, the more rapidly you get a result. But everything will work eventually if you invest enough time and energy and intention into it. Okay. Alex is asking, you can discover what your enemy's fears by means they use to frighten you. Do you agree with that statement? Yes. Many times, when a person uses a weapon, generally speaking, the person most vulnerable to that weapon is the person using it. So people will often project what they believe is their worst fear or their nastiest torment for themselves onto somebody else. So on one level, that's true. If you've got somebody who's actually skilled in manipulation and NLP and things like that and understands maps and projections and things of that nature, they can read your projections and figure out what your Achilles heel is by how you behave. So the answer to that question is a profound yes and no, depending on who's applying the process. Hishav Silwa, how can we always stay in the same state of mind? You can't. Functionally. We as conscious beings are swimming in a sea of vibration. And as we encounter different vibrational fields, the vibration of our consciousness will change accordingly. I think a more appropriate way is how can we manage our vibrations and our consciousness to optimize our performance in whatever vibrational situation we're encountering. Now, as we get deeper and deeper into meditation, as we become more and more, as we dissolve the soul extensions, the trauma-induced personalities and identities that we think of as ourself, and we get back to our original face, as my teacher Lillian used to say, we will tend to be in a more stable state of connection to the divine, and that becomes harder and harder to disrupt as time goes on. So the idea is, as we get rid of all this other stuff that isn't really us, then what's left is the true us. And as we get into that state of samadhi, with that state of pure absorption and contemplation, that becomes harder and harder to disrupt. Right? At least that's what I think. Ilka is asking, I have been struggling to feel the magnitude of state control. Do you have any tips about feeling the strength of state control? Yes, stop trying. One of the things you have to understand about state control is that it's a trance, right? And there's two elements to any trance state: a continually narrowing focus of attention and the level of absorption you have in the state process or experience. By definition, if you are trying to have an experience and another part of you is trying to measure the experience, in order for that measurement to happen, there's a part of you that has to stay at the original state, which is the part of you that's actually holding you back. When you do full absorption, you can't measure it from within it. You have to actually have other people measure the impact, because your baseline is shifting along with the rest of you if you're fully absorbed in it. Now, the other thing that will happen is, because you're fully absorbed in it, you won't realize the wattage and the amplitude that you're emanating as you get deeper and deeper. You'll feel largely the same. I mean, you'll feel some differences, but the magnitude of what you're putting out as you get deeper into this process will be very, very different compared to what other people are feeling on the outside of you. Right. This is why Grandmaster Chillicothe Sui and his successor Stephen Coe would always caution people against talking to people immediately after coming out of a very powerful meditation like the Twin Hearts, because you've done this meditation on the Twin Hearts and you've expanded your spiritual body and really it's glutted in a positive way with all of this energy. Any offhand remark that you make to people has an amplitude behind it that just shocks people. And so you could make a teasing remark and they take it like a physical slap across the face. And before you know it, you're in a knockdown, drag out fight when all you wanted to do was have a little fun, right? The same idea was, it's a state control thing. The more you get into these processes and you start developing these very powerful, energetically enhanced states, which is what you'll start to do. As you start spending more and more time in these states, you will draw more amplitude into it. And you won't notice it because you're used to it. But other people they'll just feel a very powerful, palpable presence when you move into the room. Alex, you keep retracting your messages. Is there something going on there? Let's see here. Donka's asking, any correlation between trauma, energy blocks, and singing in tune or higher notes? Any technique to improve singing? Well, if I were a singer, I might have something. There was a device that I saw at Best Buy, or was it a music store, that would actually help you to train your voice to specific frequencies and tones. That might be something useful. Certainly, we know that certain frequencies will vibrate with certain organs. We have in our Mega Platinum program, we actually do sound energetic training and sound projection training for enhanced suggestibility, but as well as breaking up energetic blocks and things in the body. Our students actually learn to make water vibrate and all kinds of really cool stuff because it's advanced hermetic training. But I don't know of any correlation between trauma and energy blocks and singing in tune or higher notes. Although in Chinese, in the Chinese systems, singing corresponds to spleen deficiency. So if you find yourself singing a lot, it may be an attempt for your body to tonify its spleen or earth energy. Don says, do I believe in chakras? Yes, I do. Do I use them? Not so much. XOG says, when I say illusion thought, I mean when someone's in their own fantasy land in their mind. Are they real? I think that was your question, is are they real? Yes, all thoughts are real, but not that much. And here's what I mean. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are energetic constructs at the spiritual level and the energetic level. But the only way they become truly manifest, other than in a transient way in the body, is if you have them for a long period of time. Or you spend a lot of time resisting them or stuffing them down in the body. Then they become a stagnant energetic pattern that creates a chi blockage, which forms a blood blockage, which forms a lesion or a tumor or some other form of pathology. Okay. Okay. I'm only going to stay on a few more minutes because it is, after all, New Year's, and I want to do some family stuff. But I want to just pop on, say hi, and see what everybody's doing. Enjoying the process of allowing it to happen. Well, Happy New Year. How to self-hypnotize oneself. Grab our program, Secrets of Personality Transformation, or the Self-Mastery Supercharger, and you will get the absolute best training in self-hypnosis that's available. Ilka's asking, could you talk about the 3 levels of rapport? In our system, we classify rapport by 3 levels. You have classical rapport, which is the thing that's taught in NLP and Ericksonian hypnosis. Most sales courses will teach you about basic pacing and leading. Then you have what we call kinesthetic or vibrational rapport, which is all about heart coherence, which is where our gold standard, where the heartbeats actually synchronize, breathing synchronizes, and you can do all kinds of really cool things. And then we have a 3rd level of rapport, which we call vibing or power rapport. And this is a type of rapport that is specifically used for attraction contexts, dating, charismatic, networking, things of that nature, where you want to generate and stimulate attraction rather than comfort and trust in somebody. And that involves three things. It involves matching a person's activity level or coming in slightly above it, classical or heart-based coherence, and a perceivable status gap. You have to raise your status in the minds of the people you're interacting with so that they perceive you as a higher value socially than the people around them. When you have those three things in the right order, then you will start to stimulate romantic and sexual attraction. David, do you have any courses or info on Kundalini? I have studied systems of Kundalini. I do not have a course on it. The best course I have found that has the most consistent results from people was created by a guy named Dr. Glenn Morris. He's passed on, and his process was known as the Kundalini Awakening Process. The head instructor for that is Teo Semko. Teo is a very, very competent instructor. Dr. Morris himself led over 100 people successfully through Kundalini Awakening. And I haven't found a better program that's safer, more user-friendly than Dr. Morris' system. So I recommend you look up CAP, K-A-P, Kundalini Awakening Process. Exactly. So when we gauge and understand how our states get stronger, we shouldn't focus on the state. You should allow yourself to just be fully absorbed in the process and not try to measure it, right? You tend, the longer you hold a state, the deeper into it you tend to go. But a lot of times that gradual absorption isn't perceivable until you come out of it. But it does become progressively more perceivable by the people outside of your field or being impacted by that field. Okay. Rishav says, I always feel low when a single thing goes wrong. How to deal with it? Point to where you feel it, reach out and touch it, shrink it down, and move it behind you. That's going to be the fastest way. Okay. Alex is asking immediate tips on living in abundance. I spend money believing more is going to come back. Anything else? I don't chase, I attract. You do. Here's a secret to this. The more you practice gratitude, the more magnetic to more opportunities you tend to become. Spend a lot of time doing what I call a gratitude inventory. Every morning when you get up, start with the fact that you were lucky enough to open your eyes in the morning, that you have feet that will walk, that you can put shoes on, and just start being grateful for every single one of those things. And as you go to sleep at night, practice that same gratitude inventory. And I think you'll find that your whole attitude about life will start to change. And because of that, your vibrational frequency will change, the probability fields around your body will change, and you will start sensitizing yourself to more opportunities to attract and live in abundance. Thank you, Dr. Snyder, for your service to others. I love you. Happy New Year's to you and your family. Thank you so much from me and my family to you. It's always nice to know that people. Chairman says, highly recommend the self-mastery course. Dana Thrower says, I am so grateful that I love you. I'm so grateful too. Thank you all so much. Arthur says, thanks for all you do. Thank you guys. You guys don't have to do that, really. Thank you, though. I mean, it's nice to know that what we do makes a difference. Yoko DeBoer, how to get higher status in someone else's world. That depends on the world that they live in, but the fastest way to do it is tell stories. And actually, if you study Mystery Method a little bit, he's got a great way. I think Style from Annihilation Method does the same thing. There's ways to tell stories that have all the status modifiers in the background of the story. I have a story course, but we don't cover that particular aspect of it directly in my story course. I recommend you look at Mystery Method and notice how they do it. Okay. Also, Swing Cat's Real World Seduction talks a little bit about how to use stories to position yourself and create higher status. There's also other ways like the Wingman Method or social proofing and things of that nature. And we cover those in Killer Influence. What are your thoughts on Combo? Kambo. I don't know what that is, Sinane. How can we get? You'll notice it by the how rapidly people respond to you and the degree to which they respond to you. My relation says, I am so grateful for this New Year's cameo. Wonderful as we are bringing in the new year. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to, I just, like I said, I had a few moments to, while the folks were kind of doing their thing. I think they're getting kind of restless. So it's about time for me to spend some time with the most important people in my life other than you, you know? Um, so let's see here. Will this stream be available on YouTube? Yes. I usually let all my YouTubes or all my lives live on our YouTube channel. And if you like it and if you got a lot of value, please like and share it. Heather Endress says, thank you for everything you do for us. She's one of our mega platinum mistresses. We call her Mega Babe. So that's it. Anyway, that's all I got time for. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care, people. Good night. God bless.